Welcome to an exploration of one of the most misunderstood dates on our calendar. To understand St. Valentine's Day, we must look past the modern veneer of sentimentality and treat the holiday as a palimpsest, a cultural document that has been erased and rewritten over nearly 2 millennia. Today, we peel back the layers of Victorian lace and medieval poetry to reveal a substrate of Roman ritual and early Christian sacrifice. Our journey begins not with a heart, but with a web. From February 13th to 15th, the ancient Romans celebrated Lupercalia, a pastoral festival dedicated to Faunus and the founding myth of the she-wolf. This was a rite of purification and boundary marking. The februa, from which we derive the name February, were thongs cut from the hides of sacrificed goats. When the Luperci priests ran through the city striking onlookers with these hides, they weren't seeking romance, they were performing a ritual of fertility and civic cleansing designed to ward off the chaos of the wild. In the 3rd century AD, amidst the persecutions of Emperor Claudius Gothicus, the historical record becomes blurred. We find ourselves looking at 2, perhaps 3 figures named Valentinus. One was a priest in Rome, the other a bishop in Terni. Both were martyred on the Via Flaminia. Crucially, early hagiographies describe their steadfast faith and miracles of healing, yet they are entirely silent on the subject of romantic love. The St. Valentine of the early church was a figure of grim endurance, not a patron of courtship. By the end of the 5th century, the Roman Empire was Christianizing, and the wild, often ribald traditions of Lupercalia drew the ire of the church. In 496 AD, Pope Gelasius I officially declared February 14th as the feast of St. Valentine. While popular history often claims this was a direct baptism of the pagan festival to replace it, scholars now suggest it may have been a quieter transition, a liturgical coincidence that slowly allowed the memory of the Luperci to fade under the shadow of the martyrs' feast. For the next 9 centuries, February 14th remained a solemn, purely religious date. There are no records of lovers exchanging gifts or poems during the Dark Ages or the early medieval period. In the monastic calendars of Europe, St. Valentine's Day was a time for prayer and the veneration of relics. The connection to love remained dormant, waiting for a cultural shift that would arrive only with the rise of a new literary tradition. The true architect of Valentine's Day as we know it was not a saint but a poet. In 1382, Geoffrey Chaucer wrote the Parliament of Fowls to celebrate the engagement of Richard II. He famously claimed that on St. Valentine's Day, every bird comes to choose its mate. By linking the saint's feast to the natural mating cycles of birds, Chaucer successfully grafted the concept of courtly love onto the liturgical calendar, effectively inventing the romantic tradition we recognize today. Following Chaucer, the holiday became an intellectual playground for the European nobility. The 14th and 15th centuries saw the rise of high courtly love, a highly stylized, often platonic form of devotion. Lovers began to use the saint's name in their correspondence, viewing the day as a time to practice the art of refined social interaction and poetic competition. It was an elite tradition, preserved in the illuminated borders of expensive vellum manuscripts. We possess a tangible artifact from this transition, the oldest surviving Valentine. In 1415, Charles, Duke of Orleans, was captured at the Battle of Agincourt and imprisoned in the Tower of London. From his cell, he wrote a poem to his wife, calling her his very gentle Valentine. This letter is a poignant intersection of history, a medieval noble using a religious feast day to express personal longing through the medium of the written word. As literacy rates rose and paper became more accessible, the tradition moved from the nobility to the middle classes. By the 1700s, handmade Valentine writers, booklets containing sample verses for those lacking poetic skill, became popular. This period represents the material culture phase, where individuals spent hours hand-painting, folding and cutting paper into intricate puzzle purses or knots to show their devotion. The 19th century brought a radical change, the 1840 uniform penny post. Suddenly, sending mail was affordable for the masses. The anonymity of the post sparked a frenzy of exchange. In London alone, the volume of mail on February 14th spiked so dramatically that extra postmen had to be hired. This was the moment the holiday transitioned from a private exchange to a public, high-volume social phenomenon. Across the Atlantic, Esther Howland, known as the mother of the American Valentine, recognized the commercial potential of this frenzy. In the 1840s, she established an all-female assembly line in Massachusetts. These were not mere cards, they were architectural feats of paper engineering, using imported English lace, lithographs, and mechanical lift-up layers. Esther turned a craft into an industry,
grossing over $100,000 annually and cementing the holiday's commercial future. From the blood of the Luperci to the paper lace of the Victorians, St. Valentine's Day is a testament to cultural syncretism, the blending of different beliefs and traditions over time. We see that the holiday is not a static modern invention, but a living history of how humans have sought to ritualize affection, whether through ancient sacrifice, medieval poetry, or industrial art. Thank you for joining this historical investigation.